What's been the biggest change while we're waiting? What's the biggest difference from high school to college? You've slept less? Class size? Bigger? What's your biggest class? Hypervised. All right. What is another change? How many of you are living on campus? Yeah. How many of you girls? How many of you have roommates for the very first time? I hope you enjoy it. I hope you struggle. I hope you grow. I hope you learn. Don't give up. It's hard in any relationship. Roommates or otherwise. Nobody's here to do it. Shrift is going to sing for us. Just introduce yourself and what it is you do. You all are in And to begin with, I want you to meet your esteemed faculty for this semester and those that can give you the most information about the health fields.
Hello everyone, my name is Melissa Shrift and I am a cultural and medical anthropologist. I'm also the director of the Culture and Health minor, which is a minor for pre-health and pre-med students who are interested in learning more about cultural diversity and cultural competency as they pursue their healthcare professional fields. And in the last year, I've also been working with Martha Eddy, the Medical Professions Advisement, as an academic and community coordinator. It's a longer name than that. That's kind of funky that I can never remember. Basically, it means that I'm serving in part as a faculty liaison. I hesitate to say to all of you, because there are so many of you, but for those of you who are pre-health students, all of you are pre-health students, certainly feel free to seek me out if and when you feel like that's relevant or you need to. And I actually know about 20 of you because this is the first year I'm teaching pre-health 1350 and loving it so far. We've had a lot of fun. I've been teaching for about 23 years and I haven't gotten to teach this yet, so it's new for me and enjoying it. And I hope I get the chance to meet the other 480 of you at some point.
Hello, I'm James Batchelder. I'm Assistant Dean in the College of Clinical and Rehabilitative Health Sciences. I manage the physical affairs and the administrative sides for the college, and I also manage our health clinics that we provide. And I'm a clinical instructor in the Department of Allied Health and teach managing allied health professionals, which is a senior level course in addition to pre-health 1350.
My name is Joanna Syrier, and I am an academic advisor here at ETSU. I'm also in the College of Clinical and Rehabilitative Health Sciences, the longest college name on campus. And I am the pre-physical therapy, pre-occupational therapy, pre-speech language pathology, and communicative disorders minor advisor. So a bunch of you, in fact all of you, should have gotten an email from our office saying, hey, if you're pre-PT or pre-OT, come talk to me, come let me know. So if you all are interested in those fields and I don't know who you are, please come talk to me, let me know. Ask your instructor for my name, my email, I'll be happy to meet with you and talk with you. And for my students, I'm glad you're here.
Hi everyone, my name is Julie Mills and I'm also with the College of Clinical and Rehabilitative Health Sciences. I'm one of the academic advisors for the nutrition program. I also do a lot of recruiting, which is why I have an online class, and hopefully I have some of my online students here. I'll have to guess. One of my niches, in addition to being advisors, is that prior to coming here, I actually worked as a director of admissions for a medical school, so I have a little bit of that insight in there in case anyone has questions for me along those lines. So, welcome everyone. Thanks.
Hey everyone, my name is Megan Roberts. I'm also an academic advisor in the same exact college. You will get a new college pretty soon. But I advise for cardiopulmonary science, dental hygiene, and radiologic science. And I've also taught the Pre-Health 1350 course for a few semesters now. I'm teaching an on-ground and an online section this semester. So again, for those online students I haven't met yet, please put a face to my name and come up after if you need to talk with me. Okay? Thank you.
Hey everybody, my name is Franny Miller. I'm a pre-nursing advisor in the College of Nursing, and we have a lot of you. I have a few of you in my class, but if you're not in my class and you need me, I'm on campus every day. I teach a Kingsport cohort of this class, so if any of you made it from Kingsport, I'm happy to see you. If not, when you're watching this online, I'm saying hi, and welcome everyone. I hope it's going to be a great semester.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dalton. I just graduated from ETSU pharmacy school. I actually took this class in undergrad the first semester that it was offered. I hope you get as much out of it as I did. I think that's it.
I think Dr. Dalton was a little nervous there. I'm Steve Ellis. I'm Assistant Dean with the College of Pharmacy, so I've known her for a while. She's one of our students. Primarily, I'm in administration. It's been a while since I've taught, so this is the first time I've been in the classroom in a while. I'm heavily involved with admissions, student services, all of those types of things for College of Pharmacy. Prior to that, was involved with the College of Medicine, so certainly anywhere I can help any of you guys, I'll be glad to. So have fun today.
Hi, my name is Erin Elizabeth Malk, and this is my first time teaching this course. My education is in biology and sociology, and I just got my master's in sociology. My main focus is in medical sociology, and I'm currently co-authoring in some articles and doing research with Dr. Foster at the Applied Social Research Lab on aid and dying legislation in the state of Tennessee and nationally. So I've been enjoying it so far. I hope you guys are.
I wasn't standing away from them because I didn't like them. I was trying not to feed into their microphone. Okay, so let me tell you who I am. My name is Martha Eddy, and I'm the Assistant Dean for Student Success in the College of Arts and Sciences, and I'm also the Director of Medical Professions Advisement. Stacy's. Okay. So I was going to say I had Jenny in class, but I didn't. Dr. Dalton in class, but I didn't. Okay, so I want to cover just a few things with you. Oops. Okay, let me stop. We have 2 advisors in the back. Really quickly, ladies, if you all will quickly tell us who you are and what you do. Sorry, Susan, I know this is going to be crazy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tina Bishop, and I am an academic counselor for Medical Professions Advisement. I advise pre-physician assistant, pre-pharmacy, and pre-veterinary medicine students.
Hi, everybody, and happy Friday. I'm Rachel Dinsmore. I'm also an academic counselor at Medical Professions Advisement, and I work with students in the pre-dental, pre-optometry, pre-chiropractic, and pre-podiatry programs. And I coordinate the FLIP, which is the pre-op living learning community.
Okay, so a couple of things I want to talk to you about. Can you guys see me okay down there if I stand on the floor? Okay. I'm not much of a stage person. What is the difference in your medical professions advisor and your major advisor, and when do those two advisors cross over? Okay. So for some of you, you are pre-med, pre-pharmacy, pre-dental, pre-OT, pre-PT, pre-whatever. So you will have a major, and you will have a pre-advisor. Because those pre-programs are not majors, they're programs of study. Okay? So you've met the advisors for most of those programs. How many of you, just quickly, are microbiology majors? Okay, you'll notice somebody's missing. Yeah. It just dawned on me that I didn't invite them for their introduction today, so I'll make sure that we have them before the semester's over. And they will be coming to talk to you about College of Public Health and what we can do with the degree in microbiology additionally. Then you have your major advisors, and so pre-nursing, you will see a nursing advisor. Okay, so that's a good example there. Okay? And Megan? The allied health you will have your advisor in that area. So keep that in mind that you may have at least 2 advisors, and if you are an athlete, you may have 3 advisors. If you are an honors student, you could have 4 advisors. If you are in honors and discipline, you may have an additional advisor. So keep those things in mind as you move forward. Okay? Is that clear as mud to everybody? Okay. Something I want to mention to you about first impressions. What do people get the first time they look at you? First time they see you? What is the impression that you leave? What is the footprint? And why is that important if you're looking for a career in healthcare? Thoughts about that?
Okay, everybody stand up. I have names. It gets worse from here. Okay, everybody put your hands together. Okay, now, cross your fingers. So you do this, huh? So, for those of you who have your right thumb over your left thumb, hold those up. You know what that means? You're sexy. Alright? Cross that over. Cross your thumbs over. So those who have them crossed the other way, hold your hands up. You know what that means? You're smart. Wait, I got more. Your fingers are crossed and they're side by side. You know what that means? Side by side. All right, hold yours up. You know what that means? You're smart and sexy. All right. Make sure that it didn't work. I lost my mind. All right. So why are first impressions important?
Get somebody not
It's what? It's the basis of what people are going to think about from this there forward. Somebody else? It's hard to change what people think after they have that first impression. Anybody else? Yeah.
Makes communicating easier for people. Like when you say patience, makes it communicating first impression.
When you have a positive first impression,
Yes.
it makes communication easier. Okay. So what is a positive first impression? We dance next, guys. And it ain't pretty.
You're welcome. Have good eye contact.
You need to have good eye contact.
Be professional.
Professional. I'm going to ask you what that means in just a minute. Positive. What's positive? Happy. Be positive. Fun. Interactive. Okay.
Confident.
What's confidence? What's professional mean? Look the part, dress professionally, make the part for whatever that is. Right. You know, my daughter started Science Hill 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And she got ready for the first day of class. And she said, Mom, how do I look? And I went, And she said, why not? I've worn this all summer. I said, guess what? It's not summer anymore. Go change your clothes. And so she comes out, she's offended. Why did you make me change my clothes? And I went, do we really need to have this conversation again? It's about first impressions. How do you want to be treated the rest of the semester, the rest of the year? You set the precedent today. So I make that challenge to all of you. You set that precedent. The first day of class, the second day of class, by not only what you wear, but how you behave in class. Ooh, I hate that word. How you behave in class, and where you sit in class. Oh my goodness, how could that be? All right, I want to make sure that I remind you to see your academic and your pre-health advisor pretty soon. You should have an assignment on your syllabus that indicates meeting with your academic advisor for developing your graduation plans. Right? Because everybody has looked at their syllabus and written all their assignments down, right? I didn't do that. There's no make good first impressions. All right. So make sure you pay attention to that. We start registering for spring term, believe it or not, beginning of November. Pretty quick, isn't it? Not even the midterm yet. All right, we're just past midterm, I guess. Okay, so keep those things in mind. You're going to be registering before you know it. You will register for classes before you finish this semester's classes. Okay? So don't panic about that. The graduation plans that you will be developing with your advisors are going to be your guide. It's going to tell you how you need to take classes for the next 4 years. Now, I have a lot of students who panic when they start building those because they say, I don't know what my major is going to be. I don't know what it is. Okay? Your instructors, you all will talk about that in class. Don't panic. And then I have those students who say, I did this 4-year plan, and now I'm changing my major. Now what do I do? You're going to build another 4-year plan. Nothing's in stone. No contracts are signed. You still have your firstborn. All those are born. All right? You can do it all, and you do it easy. Okay. Becoming independent. What does that mean?
I think you do your laundry on your own.
Say that one more time, really loud.
How do you do your laundry on your own?
Sucks. All right.
Paying your own bills.
Paying your own bills? I heard somebody say freedom. And what did you say? Not relying on your parents for
Buying your own groceries.
money, buying groceries, money. How about this one? Getting up in the morning. Honest to God, I've had students say, what am I going to do for breakfast? You know what I did that next morning? You know, I told you I have a child, high school, just turned 16. She got to fix her own breakfast the next morning, just so I know she knew that. Okay. So, independence. And what I want to say about independence, all of those things are true. And so many more. But what I want to say about that is, if you are interested in healthcare, it is imperative that you make wise choices. With independence comes a tremendous amount of responsibility. And with that responsibility, you have to keep in mind, what is the outcome I'm looking for? And that outcome is acceptance into your professional school of choice, career-wise. So why is all that important? It's important because if you are in the dorms with alcohol, you have two things wrong. One, you're underage. And two, you have broken the rules in housing. So if you get caught, you have 2 strikes, right? That goes on your academic or goes on your ETSU record. And you will have to fulfill the sanctions for ETSU. Does that scare you a little bit? It should. It should. You know, make wise choices. Doing drugs, smoking pot. I realize that some of the ADD medications are rampant. People, think about what you're doing. Think about your future. Think about where you want to go. I don't want to sound like your parents. I don't want to sound like anybody else. I gave had this discussion with our freshman PHLC students. I'm very maternalistic. In a minute, I'm going to give all of you my office phone number. Before you graduate, you will probably have my cell phone number. As long as you text me before 10, we're good to go. I'll answer. You text me after 10, I'll fire you the next day. I can assure you I won't respond. I'll be comatose somewhere. I'm not your mom. So keep in mind, there's that fine line. I'm very maternalistic. I will take you in, listen, take the kids home, way too many times. We have dinner at my house. We go out to dinner. We have breakfast here. We have lunch here. We do all kinds of things. I love that. I want to know who you are. I want to know what makes you tick. I want to know why you want to go to professional school. I want to know all those things about you. But be clear, your faculty members are there to help guide and direct you. We aren't there to parent you, okay? even though I'm kind of preaching today. We're not going to hear it. Okay? And there's a fine line between that, and students get that very confused often and forget about what our roles really are. We want to make sure you learn and that you are productive citizens when you get out here. Because you're awesome. You know why I know you're awesome? Because you're sitting here today. All right? You guys have a bright future. Do you know what the percentage is of people who graduate from college? You're in the elite. Do you know what that percentage is? All right, look it up and tell your teacher on Monday. All right, or Tuesday, whenever you have class. Tell them what the percentage of college graduates are. Better yet, tell them what the percentage of people who graduate from high school and go to college is. Find out just where you stand. Know what you are. Know what you have to offer. Know what you bring to the universe and what the universe has to offer you. And I'm not talking about the university. I'm talking about our world. Open your minds, open your hearts. Seek out people who are different from you, people who worship differently than you, people who love differently than you, people who look differently than you. Seek them out, learn who they are, know what makes them tick, what they bring to the universe. Oh my gosh, how beautiful the world is. And you are in a great place in the university setting to learn those things. Because we have such a mix on our campus of people, of religions. Okay? All right. The other piece is networking with professors. So I mentioned just a moment ago about where you sit in the classroom. Where do you think you should sit in the classroom? Okay, but let me ask this question first. Here is the winner and loser question, right? Of the day. How many of you know who Pat Summer is? Smart. Even if you didn't know who Pat Summer was, you should raise your hand on that one. All right, so Pat Summitt was and is the winningest coach in women's basketball. And in her 30-some years of coaching, her players were required to sit, does anybody know? Front row. First 2 rows of every class. Do you know what her percentage rate of graduating her players were? 100%. What impact did that have for students by them sitting in the front 2 rows? It makes you pay attention.
And there's less distractions because you can't see the blue that's behind.
Less distractions.
You can hear the teacher.
You can hear the teacher.
You can see the board.
You can see the board.
Make a relationship.
Make a relationship with professors. I think I heard that word in 2 places.
Pay attention.
Makes you pay attention. Keeps you from going to sleep. Is that what you were going to say? What else? More interaction with the professor. Why is that important? You have a better chance of learning. But guess what? At some point in the very near future, you are going to need letters of recommendation. And who are you going to be asking? Your faculty members. And how can they write you a letter of recommendation if you aren't asking questions? Period. Right? So make sure you're talking with them after class, before class, but let me say this. Don't ask questions about when something's due or what something consists of unless you read your syllabus and it's not on there. All right? I know y'all have Facebook. I know y'all have Instagram. I know y'all do all that stuff. So let me just say, you've seen those posts out there about talk to mistakes freshman day. Asking questions about things that are on the syllabus. Ooh, that's number 1. Places because you have the ability to read your syllabi in all of your classes, to know what's there and to know what you need. Ladies, stop with proposal here yet? Say again? Okay. So before TRIO comes on, this is Student Support Services, they're going to talk to you about career services. I want to ask you, do you have any burning questions? I want to make sure that you have this information. How many of you have your phones with you? And I want to say I've been so proud of you keeping your phones put up. Yay, you, that's the other piece. When you're in class, keep those phones put away. They have no place in the classroom out of your desk. Put our phone number in. This is where you will find me. I'm the pre-med advisor. When Tori Street comes back, she is my cohort in crime with pre-med advisor. She is out on maternity leave, it's her baby boy. So for those of you who may have met her before, that's why she's missing. Okay, why she's in this graph. I keep going. I guess I'm going here. All right. Okay. No, I'm going around the back way. Since you have both of those. Any burning questions before we transition? We're good with burning questions, and now I've got reinforcement. No? I have a burning question. I have my shoe stuck in the crack. Can you help me get that out? We'll see if we can pull it out.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
That's how that works. Thank you. Congratulations on surviving the first week of classes. It's been challenging for all of us in different ways. I'm Katie Duvall. I'm from Student Support Services. We're a federally funded TRIO program, and we've come in here today to let you guys know about our program in case you would like to join. I've also brought folks that are students in our program as well as tutors for our programs, and for the folks up top, we've got somebody handing flyers out as well. We're going to start handing out flyers to you. We provide academic support to individuals on campus that meet qualifications for our program, and we're sending the flyer around so you'll get to see all this. But to be part of our program, students must be considered first generation, which is neither parent has completed a 4-year degree. Be considered low income. If you have a Pell Grant, you're usually considered low income, but we can help you make that determination if you qualify that way. Or have a documented disability. If you fall into this category, I would like you to know that you are among peers, because about 7,000 students, undergraduate at ETSU, meet one of these qualifications. So you're not alone. However, we serve 3% of that population, so that's 225 students. So we try to get the word out about our program very early, because once we've reached the 225, we cannot take anybody else for the year. That includes springs, that includes summer. One of the biggest components for our program, and you'll see on the back, is a list of courses we provide free one-on-one tutoring in. All the tutoring in our office is done by peer tutors that have taken the course at ETSU, so these lovely ladies passing these around are tutors, and they provide the tutoring in our program, and we have about 40 more on staff. For pre-health people, you may be particularly interested because you'll see that we provide tutoring in a lot of the courses you're going to take or are currently taking. So we've got Chem 1, Bio 1, Problem Stats, Calculus, and then we go to the upper level courses as well. Anyone that qualifies for our program is eligible for up to 2 hours per week per course you're enrolled in. So that means if you were in Problem Stats, Bio 1, Calc 1, and Spanish, you could have tutoring in all those subjects. That would be a total of 8 hours of tutoring. It's completely free to you. Also, we've had some issues in the past where sometimes people are like, oh, I made great grades in high school, I don't need to worry about this, I'm fine. Studying for college courses can be a lot different, and it can be a big shock. as you try to make that adjustment. So our peer tutors can help you through that. Getting tutoring is a good safety net, so you don't have to come in this semester like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. I need some help because I'm failing this class. Or I think I'm going to lose my financial aid because I'm not doing well in this class. So we can help you from the get-go with the course. Also on the front of the flyer, you'll see our location at the very bottom. We're 318 Colt Center. So that just means third floor up here. Go to the opposite side from the cafeteria. You go through the double doors by ballroom left. We're the first door on the right. In addition to the free tutoring, which is always the big carrot for our program, we have a lot of additional services as well for our students. We do career counseling, we do extensive personal counseling, we have a mentoring program, and Mariah's going to talk about the 3 of those in just a second. And what else do we do? We do a lot of stuff. Yeah, because we're here to support you and get you through to graduation. Joining our program can help you achieve your goals. Our graduation rate is around 60%, which is higher than the ETSU general population graduation rate. Our retention rate is super high. How many students run these? I'm going to pass this to Mariah because she knows the stat. So, over a fourth of our students were on the Dean's List in the spring, and over half of our students had a GPA above a 3.0, which is significantly higher than the general ETSU population. So as we looked at the students that have come out of our program, they have performed and made a lot of academic progress in comparison just to general students at ETSU. Was there anything else that you wanted to know about? Kind of into? Yeah, so we also offer personal counseling and career counseling. So maybe as you come into college, you begin to experience some feelings of anxiety that maybe you felt before, but they're a lot worse, or maybe this is something totally new to you. We can help you discover some strategies to help you manage that, test anxiety, personal issues, relationship issues. As you transition to life on your own, that can be a little bit difficult, so we're there to support you through that as well. Career counseling, if you start into your classes and all of a sudden you feel like, hey, this is not for me, I'm not happy here, I don't want to spend the rest of my life doing this, we can help you explore other options that are just as great and will be really fulfilling for you. So we offer personal counseling, career counseling, and this semester we're actually starting a peer career mentoring program. And what that means is we have upper level classmen who are interested in the same career path as you, and they're willing to sit down with you and really walk you through the process of how to get there. So maybe that's graduate school, maybe professional school, and maybe just exploring career options straight out of college. So whether it's personal issues, career issues, we've got a lot of stuff to help you there too. Yeah, okay, so I'm a senior psychology major here at ETSU. I want to go on to get my PhD in health psychology. I started getting tutoring and also working for student support services my freshman year. And it really just helped me feel more at ease with my classes. It helped me transition my study methods from high school level to college level. I found people with similar interests, similar goals to me, so I felt really supported in that area. And I love it. Now I tutor, and it's my primary source of income in college, which is really nice. Yeah. And yeah, so a lot of friends, a lot of support, and it's definitely impacted my grades and the way that I study and my success in college.
Hey guys, so my name is Annalisa. I am also a senior. I'm a health science major. So I'll just tell you a little bit about my experience with this program. I started out my freshman year. I got tutored in biology, chemistry, which were my toughest classes at that time. I was really struggling, and I was like, oh my gosh, like how am I gonna pass this class? So I found out about TRIO and got tutored, and I literally went 2 grades up after getting tutored with TRIO. So, you know, if you guys are taking bio or chem, then definitely sign up for TRIO because they'll really help you. And now I'm a tutor right now for bio as well and human anatomy. So yeah, I definitely recommend this program to all of y'all if y'all are interested. So yeah.
Hi everybody, I'm
I'm Jaleesa. I've actually never gotten tutoring from a tutor program, but I have been a tutor and it's been the best thing that I've ever done. They don't make me answer phones, but I get to meet a lot of really cool people and tutor them in science, and it's honestly the best thing that I've ever done my 4 years, or 5 years now, in college at ETSU.
Just really quick, we hire from a lot of the students that come into our program. So if you, or even if you don't end up getting tutoring, but next year you've taken biology, chemistry, those entry-level courses, and you did well in them, come see us because we might hire you to tutor those courses as well.
And we pay well for our tutors because they're valuable resources. If you don't qualify for our program, you may want to keep us in mind because we do hire individuals that also don't qualify for our program to tutor. We just have a mix of people and their backgrounds. If you're interested in our program, please don't wait. We are filling up quickly and we want to make sure we have room for everybody in our program to get you set up as soon as possible. We'd love to see you up there. Like I said, 318 Culp Center. The first person you'll meet will be Kim Miller, our executive aide. She'll do an intake card with you. Once we confirm that you qualify, she'll make you an appointment with one of our, either our director, who is our counselor on staff, or her counseling interns to get you set up in our program and get the tutoring scheduled. All right. Anybody have any questions before we head on out of here and turn this over?
Everyone get on the phone. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other flyers just kind of hanging around? So we are going to be just a couple of minutes, and we will be back with you. I think most of you know Dr. Sarah Foster, and she is going to talk with you today about study skills and survival. Survival in your first year. Okay. So, since we've done all that, I guess what I have shoes again. I'm going to avoid the crack in the floor. I won't even think about it until I go over and get stuck again. Alright, so since we've done all of that, any thoughts, questions, comments about what we've talked about so far? Everybody excited? Hey. What is the cheer at ETSU? Go Bucks. Really? Have you all got it in you at 2:30 on Friday afternoon? No. How old are you all? 1, 2, 3. That was just sad. What? That's so sad. I have season tickets. I am a Go Buck fan. All right, let's try this again. 1, 2, 3. Yes! That's what we're looking for. All right. I'll take big steps this time. All right. So, how many of you have Dr. Foster for Biology 1?
She does rock in class, doesn't she? She's got more energy than the law allows. She's also, I'm just going to tell you, one of the few faculty that I know on campus who will sit down in the floor with you in the hallway and help you learn to read a textbook, a science textbook. How many of you knew that it takes a little different effort in reading a science textbook than reading your English textbook? Yes, that would be the clue that everybody should raise their hand on. No, I'm just kidding. You shouldn't if you don't know. You need some help passing out?
Yes, because of course I can't read the textbook, but I did read something to read.
General biology as well as biochemistry lab. I'm also a cardiovascular physiologist / biochemist. So I study what happens inside the heart if you have a heart attack. But today we're going to talk about study skills, and this is my passion. So as you can see here, I love meat, so I'm trying to please. So studying, just notice how they conveniently put dying at the end of the word. So how many of you all felt like that when studying? Yeah, right. And so I want to talk about this today is to how to not be at this point. Because I've been there almost 20 years since I was a freshman, started college. And so I think back to some of the craziest things that I've done, and I share it with some of my students every semester, but probably one of the worst things that I did. General biology 1, I was a little bit social in college. You had me in class, you know I can talk a lot. So I talked a lot, and I was effective in my study sessions. And so one night, for finals, all of us got together. We thought we were going to stand up and study for the exam together in the dorm room in the hall at the bottom. And so we stayed together, we stayed up, and we studied. And I guess we talked rather, and then about 12 realized that we need to be studying because we got finals tomorrow, right? So we decided to kind of part ways and get studying. So I took one of those caffeine pills, like the no-dose type of things. Don't do that. Don't do it, don't do it. And so at that time, I wasn't even a coffee drinker. I didn't become a coffee drinker until I started teaching biology. And so I was not even a coffee drinker, but I took a caffeine pill, and oh my goodness, I was up all night. I was like wired. And it was so bad that I couldn't even study for my biology final. And so I showed up for the final, and I was a nervous wreck, just a nervous wreck. And I remember kind of whispering to the person next to me, oh my goodness, this is like way too much. And our biology final wasn't multiple choice, it was like a packet. So I'm looking through the packet, it was just like blank answer spaces. So I had to like write it stuff, I couldn't do anything mind mode and like circle stuff and turn stuff in. Well, needless to say, I was just a nervous wreck because I waited till the last minute to study. It just wasn't on the A game. And so I walked up to my biology professor at the time and I said, what would happen? What grade would I get if I didn't take the final? And of course he looked at me like, this girl is crazy. Who asked that kind of question? And I was like, I can't do this, I just cannot take this. And so I handed him my biology final and he said that you're doing pretty good in lab and other things, so maybe about a C minus. So I just handed him my biology final and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna take this. And I went home. I went back to my dorm. And I think I got about like a C or a C minus. And I think it was a C minus I got in general biology. And now I teach it. So it turned out okay. But needless to say, I was just a nervous wreck. And so of course afterwards I went to my dorm and I blew about it. Like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did this and blah, blah, blah. And so just like suck it up. You didn't plan properly, and so at that time, studying was a chore, and I felt like this that night trying to cram all that information, waiting at the last minute, and I knew some of it because I had been studying throughout the semester and doing well, but still, I needed to study for finals, and I just took the wrong approach. One, not studying in groups, talking, having effective study groups, but then two, cramming and trying to get information, and it should have just been something that I did the entire time. So now I love talking to my students about study skills because I learned the hard way, and I don't want you all to learn the hard way. So we don't want to be like this. But before we get started, the approach you take to studying and the approach you take to being in college is going to be very important. We come here, we want to get an A, we want to learn all this information because we want to go to med school, dental school, etc. But I'm going to talk a little bit of just about some life skills that are tied into studying because your motivation, right, how and why you do things will direct how well you stick to a study plan. You can fill out these study sheets, which I'm not even going to go over, but you can fill out a time management grid. How many of us buy planners? We buy planners, we use our phone. I even do all that stuff and don't stick to a plan. I stick to a workout plan, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do all this stuff, and you don't stick to it. So we got to back up a bit and we have to talk about what is going to motivate us and what our mindset is going to be so that we can stick to the plans that we actually put forward in life overall in general. So which of these statements most closely represent your view about science courses? So I'm biased and I'm going to talk about science courses, but you can kind of fill in the blank for some other things for your major. And we don't have flippers, but those that in my class need to be flippers. But just think about those. You got to work really hard to get a good grade. If you want to work in science, you have to be smart enough to learn what's necessary. I was good at science in high school, but in college, I may not be as good as I thought I was. Just think about it. I'm going to ask you an answer. And I got these from a colleague who shared these questions with her class as well. So just kind of think about, and then think about why you chose that. So what's your perspective on doing science? So I'm going to start with the last one because I teach a lot of freshmen come in. I was good at science in high school, but in college, I may not be as good as I thought I was. And I always tell my students to, don't start out with that mindset. All right, that, if you were good at high school biology, There were things that you did, to do that. And now that you're in college, you automatically think, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be good at it now because it's going to be really, really hard. Yeah, it's going to be different. That's true. That college biology is very different from high school biology. However, what do you need to do to be sure you stay good at it? And you automatically come in and start off with a negative opinion about how successful you're going to be at something, then that's going to disrupt the whole group, and it's going to disrupt the plan that you put forth. So first thing is you've got to get rid of the negative thinking. Number two says, if you want to work in science, you have to be smart enough to learn what is necessary. We already heard my story, and I think I'm pretty smart right now. But we heard my story already. I got a C- in biology because I made a really dumb decision of not to study. And then I didn't always get A's on tests and things of that nature either because of things that I just didn't do right. But I made it to graduate school, I got a PhD, and now I teach biology. And so this whole thing of you got to be smart enough to learn what's necessary. We're going to talk about how to work smart rather than that. And that everyone learns differently, you have different tactics, the way to do things. So this whole thing of comparing ourselves, and I hear, well, I'm not smart as such and such. And I didn't do this, and we compare ourselves to one another. And so we have to throw that out the window. I always get that where students compare themselves to one another, and you can't do that. You have to figure out what works for you to get you to the point where you need to be. And do you need good grades to get into medical school and all the professions? Yes, you do. But the 4.0 student and the student who has, a 3.3 or something like that, not much of that difference that, yes, this person has straight A's and you may have a B here or a C there and a lot of A's, but getting one C doesn't prevent you from getting into medical school. It's a larger picture. Now, I'm not saying that you can get all C's and then that you're going to skate it. That's not what I'm saying. But just because you get one bad grade doesn't mean that everything is over and you can just throw everything out the window. And then here, you have to work really hard to get a good grade in science classes. And yes, you do. You do have to work hard. But it's how you work is going to be the key thing. And the next thing that I have is, how would you respond to these situations? And I won't go through these, but just think about how you respond to these situations. And these are all things that you may come across. Maybe not all of them, but some of them, you're going to get criticism in your job. Because we all get evaluated. I get evaluated. People have different ways in how they can do tasks. And you're going to hit stumbling blocks and obstacles all throughout your life. And the way you respond to those, specifically as we're talking about being college students, the way you respond to those in your course is going to determine the outcome of that course. And I see sometimes students that shut down. They get one bad quiz grade, and I'm like, that's a small window of the big picture. But yet, that one stumbling block, that one bad quiz grade, or even that one exam grade, and then you shut down instead of figuring out what do I need to change and what do I need to do differently in order to succeed. And so that's the hard work. So I'm talking about that hard work is figuring out what do I need to do differently, what do I need to learn about myself, how do I need to change my study skills in order to do better and do better. It's not about studying 60 hours a week or 50 hours a week. If you can do all of that and still not get the grade that you actually want. So it's about how you work. It's going to be important. And so here's a quote from a book that I'm actually reading now. We're doing like a book club of faculty called Make It Stick. But they say that learning is acquiring knowledge and skills and having these skills ready available for memory so that you can make sense of problems and opportunities. So it's not just memorizing a bunch of information, but it's getting the knowledge of the skills and then learning to do something with it. If you've had me in class, we all know that I want you to apply what you know, not just memorize a bunch of facts, but how can I take this information and put it into a larger context? So we're going to talk about the approach, about being productive. I'm going to spend more time just on critical reading and then how to answer test questions. So that approach, we're going to play this clip. It's a clip about famous failures. Can I get any sound? Can I have some sound from up here, I think? Can I get sound from the PowerPoint down here?
It should be plugged into the headphone jack on the left-hand side. There's a few.
Now let's see. Yeah, I don't want to see this. So now it's not working. Yeah, it's playing with the computer.
There's a little plug on the left-hand side, right there. Plug it into the headphone jack.
Okay. Right. So what needs to go into this?
The headphone jack on the left-hand side.
Oh, it's on the floor. Sorry. There we go.
After being cut from his high school basketball team, he went home, locked himself in his room, and cried. He wasn't able to speak until he was almost 4 years old, and his teachers said he would never amount to much. Was demoted from her job as a news anchor because she wasn't fit for television. Fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination and having no original ideas. At age 11, he was cut from his team after being diagnosed with a growth hormone deficiency, which made him smaller in stature than most kids his age. At 30 years old, he was left devastated and depressed after being unceremoniously removed from the company he started. High school dropout, whose personal struggles with drugs and poverty culminated in an unsuccessful suicide attempt. A teacher told him he was too stupid to learn anything, and that he should go into a field where he might succeed by virtue of his pleasant personality. Rejected by tech and recording studios who said, "We don't like their sound, they have no future in show business." His first book was rejected by 27 publishers. His fiancée died, failed in business, had a nervous breakdown, and was defeated in 8 elections. If you've never failed, you've never tried anything new.
Story is, we never know what it takes to get there. And so, as you're thinking in your course about your career, don't be afraid to get something wrong. Again, failing the quiz or something, figure out what you need to do next and keep trying, but do something differently. And so now we're going to talk about productivity, and I'm going to show another video clip just on some skills in terms of productivity. And I'll talk about time management.
In a world that seems busier by the day, productivity is on the minds of many. But instead of downloading the latest time management app or forcing yourself to stay at work for hours on end, how can we use science to crack open the potential of our minds? Is there a secret to being productive? The first thing to come to terms with is that your willpower is simply not enough. In fact, some studies suggest that willpower is an inexhaustible source that can be entirely used up. This is a concept known as ego depletion. So instead of convincing yourself to simply try harder, a more methodical approach is suggested. The first step, get started. It may seem obvious, but studies have shown starting a project to be the biggest barrier to productivity. Before starting, our brain visualizes the hardest parts to come and instead tries to simulate real work by focusing on small, mindless tasks. Luckily, there's a construct of the mind known as the Zeigarnik effect, which compels humans to finish a task that they've already started. The Zeigarnik effect shows that when we don't finish a task, we experience discomfort and intrusive thoughts about it. So get started now. What about time management? Shockingly, when we look at some of the most elite musicians in the world, we find that they aren't necessarily practicing more, but instead more deliberately. This is because they spend more time focused on the hardest task and focus their energy in packets. Instead of diluting their effort over the entire day, they have periods of intense work followed by breaks. Not relying on willpower, they rely on habit and disciplined scheduling. Studies have found that the most elite violinists in the world generally follow a 90-minute work regime with a 15 to 20-minute break afterwards. Instead of trying to maintain energy throughout the entire day, breaking it down into sessions with planned relaxation is most effective. But how can you develop the discipline to follow this routine? One key component is giving yourself a deadline. Write it down, mark it in your calendar, and you'll be much more likely to complete your task. On top of this, create something called an accountability chart to document your progress. In one column, write the time span, and in the other, the activities you accomplished during this time. Similar to those on a diet who document their food intake, writing down your progress allows you to realistically evaluate your work as opposed to inaccurately assuming what you've done. Furthermore, tracking your progress helps to avoid small, mindless work. And finally, stop multitasking. While it may feel like you're accomplishing more, studies show that multitaskers are much less productive. Instead, try and make a list at night of what you want to accomplish tomorrow. This way, you hit the ground running with your action plan and avoid trying to complete multiple activities at once. While you're at it, split up your large tasks into smaller bite-sized ones. Your brain will find these less daunting and it will make the starting process easier. With a clear goal and action plan in mind, your productivity levels can soar to new heights. Want more tips and information on productivity? Check out Gregory Ciotti's blog, Sparring Mind, who we worked with to make this video. We'll link to the productivity article in the description where you can find even more information. And be sure to sign up for his newsletter, which covers other amazing work.
So we just looked at two. One is your mindset. How am I thinking about myself? One, failure is not fun. You just got to move forward. Second, we talked about different ways of being productive. And so here at the Center for Academic Success at LSU, I use this study cycle in my classroom. So as the productivity video stated, it's not just trying to cram and sitting down studying for 5 hours thinking you're going to remember all the information. So it's a cycle, meaning that before you come to class, I stress, preview the material. You've got to read for class. You've got to read it. I take this like every day in class, and I'm broken every day. But you have to look at something. Even if you don't look at the whole chapter, we're going to practice that with the chapter that I gave you, that sheet of paper. Preview, even if you just look at a figure. Why? Because you're getting your mind prepared for what you're going to hear when you come to class. And the bells and whistles will start to go off. I promise you that if I'm talking and I'm talking about CCK and GIP and I'm throwing out all that stuff to you and you're like, what is she talking about? Oh my goodness, I've never heard that before. You're going to shut down. And everything else I say is going to be like a foreign language. And you're like, oh my goodness, lecture is pointless. But if you preview before class and you at least look at a figure or you at least look at some vocabulary words, or I even post videos, so if there are videos that your professor posts, you can even watch a video that's about 7 or 8 minutes just to kind of get your brain ready for what you're going to hear. You will be likely to remember it better. The next thing is, of course, you got to come. Because then you're going to miss what's being said, and it's your opportunity to hear it a second time so that it can stick. I don't know about you, but I just can't read or hear something once and it's like I know everything about it. No, you hear it from multiple avenues before it really sticks and you actually remember it. And then after you get to class, review. And so if you have a break, for instance, just go right on campus, get a bite to eat, or when you're sitting down, take 15 minutes while you're eating and then oh my goodness, Dr. Foster, I just want to socialize. Yeah, you can do that, but maybe find some time to just spend 15 or 20 minutes reviewing the notes from that class. And it seems like it'll be a lot, but it's not. Finding time to review what you just heard, again, increases the chances of you remembering what was actually said. And then study. As the video stated, it's not sitting down for 5 hours, but if you previewed before class, you've heard it before class, and you did a quick short review session, then likely you remember some stuff, right? So when you do these study sessions, they don't have to be long and drawn out because a lot of it you remember, but now I'm studying because I'm now asking myself questions. I'm asking why. I'm asking how. I'm asking what would happen if. Now I'm taking the information and I'm doing more with it because you've got to be able to engage in the information. And then last, you've got to assess your learning. And we're going to do these last two about how to actually study and ask questions about things and then assess. A lot of times students say, I know the information, I know it, I've studied for 20 hours this week for your test, and I got an F. And I would say, how do you know that you know the information? And I'm like, huh? I'm like, how do you know the information? And then I'll say, okay, well, close your book. And then I'll ask a question, and you can't tell me, and they can't tell me anything. Why is that? Because I'm sure they study. I absolutely believe students when they come to my office and tell me they study. But what they did was that they just sat there and reread their notes for hours and hours and hours. And that is not helpful, because if you reread and reread and reread over and over again and you never tested yourself to say, how do I know that information, you're going to go into the test and think you know it, right? Yeah, right. And I spent the time, right? If I put in X amount of hours, I should get this result out. That's not how it works. You've got to be efficient in the time that you're putting in order to get the result out. So you've got to test yourself. And testing yourself can be simply closing the book. And we're going to talk about how to do that. Close the book. Can I draw? Can I write? Can I make up questions and answer those questions without my notes? Without my notes. Can I be able to do this? Because the bottom line is that when you all are in these professions and you're working on patients and you're doing things, there are no notes. They I want my doctor to say, okay, wait a minute, we're in surgery and a problem happens. I gotta go take about 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes to go look at my notes or do things. And there are some things you may have to look up. For the most part, I need you to know your stuff and I need you to be able to get in there and troubleshoot when things are happening. But they have prepared. They have spent years and years and years of training preparing and knowing how to do things. So this is a general study cycle. And then at the bottom, again, related to the video, you set a goal, you study with a focus, reward yourself. That's what the video said. Take some time to reward yourself, and then you go back and review. But if you notice, this is not like 4 or 5 hours sitting in one day. And so I tell students in helping them make study schedules with your planners, if you just carve out an hour and a half each day for a particular topic or subject, you'd be surprised as to how much you really get done, and you don't have to spend 7 days a week studying. I was working with a student, and that we looked at the schedule, and we were able to carve out times to where she still had our Saturdays and Sundays free. Right? Ooh, we want those, right? Yeah, we want our weekends free. But she didn't have a job too, so that was one thing, she didn't have a job. But you can carve and schedule in such a way if you learn to be efficient and work smart. Alright. So, we talked about our approach, meaning get your mind right. You gotta have your mind right. We talked about being productive. The video gave some really good tips, and I talked about this study cycle of being productive, setting goals, doing short spurts of different types of methods, okay? Different types of methods. And now I'm going to talk about reading. So let's take out the handouts that I gave you. It's like, whoa, that's a lot of information, right? So what's your approach to reading? Who wants to tell me what do they do when they sit down and start reading? Anybody? What do? You highlight, yes. And what do you highlight? Like the whole page? What do you highlight? Everything, right? Because it's all important, right? It just looks nice. It just looks important. So you sit down and you just start reading. You automatically sit down and just read the first sentence and keep going. Right? So you don't even know, you don't have a plan when you read, right? It's like, okay, I just open the book and you read the first sentence and go. No, you gotta have a plan. Even if it's a textbook, you just sit down and you gotta have a plan. So I suggest, don't even just sit down and start reading the first sentence. You want to preview, you want to skim, you want to get to know, well, what is this chapter about? What am I going to be learning? So, here's the task, and this came from Dr. Sandy McGuire, again at Louisiana State University, and so we're going to count the vowels. So on the next slide, I want you to count all the vowels that you see in this list.
Is my count as vowels?
No, we're not going to use Y. I'm just going to give you 2 seconds. Okay. So now I'm going to ask, how many words or phrases do you remember? How many words or phrases do you remember? How many? All right, by show of hands, 1 to 3. Okay. cool thing. All right, so part of this is, what was the task? I asked you to do what? Count the vowels. And that's how we read sometimes, right? We kind of read and we just pick and chop, and we go through it and we don't have a purpose, and you don't know what the purpose is. So now, all right, I'm going to have you look at the words again, but when you look at the words, tell me if you see a pattern in how they are arranged. What are they arranged according to? All right, take a look at it again. Tell me what they're arranged according to. And see how many words you can. Alright, so now I'm going to ask again. Now, how many words do you remember? 1 to 3. 1 to 3 words. Anybody 4 to 6? 7 to 9 words. Good, good. And 10 to 12. Good. 13 to 15. Okay, good. Good for me. But we had more people in this later. So what was the reason? So what were the major differences between the first attempt and the second attempt? Who wants to tell me? You were looking for a pattern? Good. So she said that you were hyper-focused the first time, just looking on the vowels. But once you knew what to do, you arranged them according to a pattern, right? You had this 1 through 13, and you could associate, okay? You could associate words with number 1. So number 1, you can associate with each of those, and you were able to remember the words better. I see many of you still counting, and now that you have a pattern and you know how to associate things better, you can easily remember. So it's not that your brains don't work, it's not that you can't do it, you just gotta learn some tools to be able to help you do it. So here's another quote from the book, because the more you can explain about the way your new learning relates to prior knowledge, because we always forget by the time exam 2, exam 1 doesn't matter anymore, right? Right? It's over with. But the way you do better on that final and overall is that, how can I explain my new learning relating to my prior knowledge? The stronger your grasp of new learning will be. And the more connections you create, it will also help you remember it later. So it's about connecting the dots with previous information, but also being able to connect those dots together. So, reading critically. Ask questions while you read. So the question that you were asking is, how do these words relate to each other, right? Right? Anticipate what's going to happen next. Well, if I know that it's 6, what kind of word can associate to help me remember 6 better? Or 12 is a dozen, or 13 being unlucky Friday, or 14 being Valentine's Day, something like that. What's going to happen next? How does this relate to previous material? What do the charts and figures mean? Oh my goodness, I can't tell you how many times people skip over those, where those become your best friend, and we're going to talk about those today. And then the last one, I love this one. How does this relate to a larger real life issue? Because you're reading, you're like, oh my goodness, this is boring. Who cares about CCK and GIP and all these digestive hormones? But what if I told you that these hormones in this chapter is going to relate to obesity, which is a public health problem and concern here in the United States? What if I told you that these hormones that we're going to learn will relate to diabetes? And how many in here know someone who has diabetes? Right? So So if you know that that's what we're going to be relating this to on a larger scale, learning the information now becomes more important, because now you're going to want to say, what? Oh, how is this going to help my grandmother with her diabetes? Or I wonder what this would do in order to cure diabetes. Or I wonder if we could study this to help the obesity epidemic problem that we might be having. It's going to talk about appetite. So I wonder if I can study this, how would this help with appetite? So now you're reading with a different purpose as opposed to just reading the information because I got to know it, I got to get an A on the test. But you're reading because I want to learn this, because I may use this and do something with it, and it's beyond me in terms of how it can help a larger scale. All right, so your turn. Now you're going to ask these types of questions while you're reading. So take out your sheet of paper and take some of these tools. So what did I say? You have a figure, so what should you be looking at? The figure. Can the figure tell me some information? I've already told you what this is going to relate to, so the larger issue is diabetes and appetite. The other thing that you want to do is, if you have a pencil or a pen, take out a pencil or a pen. When you're reading through this text, you want to go section by section. So for instance, if I read this first section here, I see a word that's highlighted, I want to make a note on the side. I'm not going to highlight everything, but I want to say, after I read that paragraph, I want to stop. And I don't want to read this and spend a whole hour on it and know nothing about it, but I want to read that first paragraph, and I'm going to stop, and I'm going to make a little notation at the side and say, what did that mean, or what does this little paragraph say, what's important, but it's going to be in my own words. Then I'm going to go to this figure and say, you know what, I'm not even going to read the rest of it right now. I'm going to go to the figure, and I'm going to read a little paragraph on the side of the figure to see what's happening, because I see arrows, things going up and down. A negative means that it's inhibiting. A positive means that it goes forward. So take a few minutes and just look at that to see, how can I quickly summarize on the side? No highlighting, but I want you to paraphrase some words, and you may have never seen this before, and that's good. Because it's new information, and how can I use that new information? Extra copies.
Did you have more in your folder, Sarone?
Oh.
Sarone, I need more upstairs too.
Okay. Excellent person. Again, be sure to jot down a sentence or a phrase or something. Highlight this paragraph. everybody? What do you see? What do you see highlighted? So let me back up. So when you start this chapter, all your chapters will have learning outcomes. You should read those. So one, we're going to be talking about hormonal and neuroregulation of the digestive tract, right? So I should be looking for things that are hormones and things that relate to the brain. The other thing you should ask yourself too is you're going to have to explain how the nervous system stimulates the digestive system. And then you're going to have to identify these major hormones. So when you're done reading, you should ask yourself, can I identify the hormones? And can I identify or discuss how the brain interacts with the digestive system? You should read those and you should literally say out loud. Because when you're reading, what are you now looking for? The hormones, right? And you're looking for how the brain is going to affect the digestive system. So when you find it, you're like, oh, here it is. Your brain's already in tune, so you're reading with a purpose. So in that first paragraph, when you see gastrin, what do you see before gastrin? What does it say? It's a what? A hormone. So do you think you should highlight or write something about that? Yeah, is that what you're looking for? Yes, you're looking for a hormone. So now that you've come to this first paragraph and you see something about a hormone in the stomach called gastrin, you should write in the sideline that this hormone gastrin, what does it say? That in turn is going to stimulate the stomach to what? To produce HCl, then it's going to lower the pH and help with digestion of acid. So on the sideline, you should put hormone number 1, gastrin in the stomach, has something to do with HCl and pH. And then you move on. And because you've now written this down, you're going to better remember it. Or if you need to go back to it, you do not reread the whole chapter, you reread the notes that you have on the sideline. And that saves you some time during your review process. Let's talk about this figure. Now when you look at this figure, right, what do you see happening? You see our hormone again, what? Gastrin, and now it's telling me in more detail that gastrin is doing something. You don't even have to know what that is right now. But what is it telling you based on that figure that gastrin is doing? It's stimulating. The positive means that it's doing something good, right? So what is the arrow pointing to? It's pointing to a particular cell, saying that it's going to produce HCl. And it's also pointing that it's going to produce or help with something called pepsin. So you can now read the figure and get some information in the figure. So you can write on the sideline, here are some things that this hormone is actually doing to be able to stimulate digestion. And if you read the sideline, here's the figure legend. Look how much information. So it tells you the same thing of what gastrin is doing, but now the hormones that I was mentioning earlier, CCK and GIP, you see these hormones here, and you can quickly read what are they doing. Or you can look at your figure and you can see, oh, here's what the figure is showing, and a picture is really worth 1,000 words when you're talking about science. Okay? So thing number 1 is reading the heading and asking questions. Asking questions, saying how does this relate to a larger context? So now, I don't have that up there, but when you look on your handout now, so flip it over on the back. Well, the first handout says at the bottom, food intake is under neural control. Then you have something highlighted that says leptin, but flip over to the back. You see that things are underlined, right? If you read it in your textbook and there are key things that are underlined for each section, you should pay attention to that. So if you look on the back, it says the effects of the hormone leptin. So when you finish reading that section and when you finish reading the chapter, what should you be able to tell me? The effects of the hormone leptin. If you cannot do that, then you're not done. That means you need to go back. And a lot of times you read, you highlight, and you write down information, and we do what? We close our books like, woo, I accomplished this chapter, I read 5 pages, right? And you are so proud of yourself, right? Right? And you should be. But here's the kind of take the next step to go for the goal is that you now say, yes, I've read the chapter, I've read 5 pages, but can I tell myself what those 5 pages are about? And you go back to the learning outcomes, or you go back, she's shaking her head, but you go back and you take that chapter heading and say, okay, I just read about a bunch of stuff. Can I say, what are the effects of the hormone leptin? Can I talk about insulin? Can I say something about neuropeptides? And can I say something about hormonal control and feeding behavior as it relates to the digestive system? And you take each of those headings and you turn them into a question. If your mind goes blank, then your studying was not successful. Meaning, you don't repeat it in the same thing, because what's your tendency? Oh, I'm just going to read it again, right? No, you read it again differently. Meaning you do go back and read it again, but this time you read that paragraph and you know that I gotta take notes. I don't highlight everything, but I have to paraphrase and write as I'm going along. You shouldn't just read 2 pages or 3 pages of information without taking a break, saying, and I verbally communicate what I know. All right, so now let's talk about, Now, how do we do that? So the first thing that you can do is do this sort of compare and contrast. I do this a lot with my students. So if you look on the back page and you have those titles, I can compare and contrast. So I can say, okay, the book is talking about something related to leptin. I also see something about insulin. And they all are related to diet or the digestive system. So what would you ask yourself? What can you say? How are they similar, or are they similar? And you need to investigate. Go back and look. What are some similarities between these two? Because when you do the test question, you might say, what is the difference, or describe the difference between insulin versus leptin? Or which of the following will work the best? You can't tell me which is going to work the best if you don't know how they're different, how they're similar. So ask this question before you come to class while you're reading. Then you can say, well, how are they different? You can do this at home. You pick things out of the chapter that have been underlined or highlighted or that are in figures, and literally just take 2 things and compare and contrast them. You'll find some similarities and some differences, or at least you'll say, well, there are none. And that might be an answer on the test. I don't know. But the point is that you've got to engage, you've got to ask questions. And you make you a chart. Don't leave that textbook, or don't leave that page unless you've done this. Right? Unless you've done it, because more than likely this will be something that you'll see on the test question. And then if they are different, tell me why. The next thing is something called a concept map. So after you've gone through the whole chapter and you have your notes, now you want to put this together so it can make sense. And so here, if you would have read the whole chapter, well, we didn't, but I have vocabulary words on the side. And you get these vocabulary words because they're what? They're highlighted in your chapter, or they're in your notes or something. But you get these words or you get these concepts and you ask, what? How do they connect? What is a map? A map is showing you direction, how things intersect, which goes left, which goes right, who's related, who's not related. And so you can begin to create this framework to say, all right, we've talked about gastrin already. That's about the most parts we got. But we know that gastrin can cause stomach contractions, and then it enters the blood. But now we see some of these hormones that I've been mentioning, and we're connecting the dots. You can't leave the chapter. The chapter is connected, right? So you take your isolated information that you got from reading paragraph 1, 2, 3, and 4, but now you want to try to put these things together. And even if you do it after class because you're like, oh, well, I read some stuff and I don't understand it, that's fine. But at least after you leave class, during your review phase, you want to be able to take what you've read on your own, what you've heard in class, and now you want to put this together. I am asking you to use information by putting it together. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about, this is another figure, but study tools in terms of assessment. How do I know what I know? Or I think I know? This is something called Bloom's taxonomy, and many professors ask questions. They may not tell you that it's this level, but they ask questions on the level. So the first thing is just memorizing and knowledge. What could be a knowledge question just based on a little bit that we've talked about already? What's a knowledge question you think could be based on that? What is gastrin? A basic knowledge question, and you'll be surprised at how many students miss basic knowledge questions because they haven't gotten a good concrete definition of what is this or what is that. The next one is comprehension, sort of paraphrasing and restating it in your own words. And that could be something such as describing, all right, or connecting it a tad bit to which of the following could describe something that gastrin is going to do or how it connects to producing HCl. The other one is application. What do you think the application question could be? So it's transferring your information. What do you think the application question could be? How does gastrin do what? Yeah, so in terms of how it's going to lower the pH, or what would happen if a person didn't have gastrin, if they didn't use this hormone gastrin, right? So we're going up the pyramid, but because you know this, you can ask yourself these questions, right? Because that's what we're doing right now. You can say, well, what is gastrin? How does it relate to something else? What would happen if gastrin was missing and you didn't have it? And because you know we're talking about digestion and obesity and even diabetes, what would happen to obesity or issues of obesity if gastrin was missing? So ask yourself these questions and start searching for the answer for the test. And then the analysis is if I gave you some kind of data and some logic. So let's just say, for instance, and we didn't go through all this, but if you have your sheet of paper and you look at your figure, it says pancreatic secretion of bicarbonate is stimulated by. That's a knowledge question. So look at your figure, and do you see bicarbonate on that figure? Do you, right? So the answer is right there in the book. You can see bicarbonate on that figure, and you can say, oh, I see the pancreas and I see bicarbonate, and you also see an arrow that's pointing to it to tell you what's happening, right? That's connecting the dots. So simply reading a textbook figure can give you an answer to a question. Now I'm going to go, again, what is not involved in applicate regulation? We didn't go here, but here's another tip to answer questions. You should be able to look at all those answer choices and tell me something about each answer choice. If you read the chapter, because all of those things are included in the chapter, you should be able to say, the hormone ghrelin does this. You see secretin on your sheet. You saw insulin on the back. You saw leptin, right? And the neuropeptide Y is also on the back. So because you've read, you should be able to tell me something about all those different hormones, right? And the last thing that I want to talk about is going to be an analysis kind of question. So Dr. Jones has discovered a patient who suffers from extreme obesity, who has abnormal levels of protein, and it's going to say select the profile. So an analysis question would be like, oh my goodness, I don't look at all this information. But it's not as bad as you think. Why? Because if you look at all the answer choices and all the hormones, those are hormones that are on that piece of paper that we've actually read, right? So again, it's your perspective and how you think about it, and knowing that I have taken notes and I've talked to myself about all those different hormones so I know how to use them. So the last thing I want to say now, keep calm and have fun learning and not try to get so distraught about studying. All right?
All right.
sign in or swipe your card. The card swipes are up and out there. Thank you guys for coming.